The Minister for Education reasserts government's determination to ensure that education is no longer a luxury but the right of all Dominicans. Dr. Carissa Etienne and Senior Consul Anthony Astafan, among several Dominicans, to be honored this Independence Day. A call to Dominicans in the diaspora with technical expertise to enlist their talents in the island's post-Erica rebuilding efforts. I am Lurian Graham Carter for the Channel 5 News. Details coming up. First up, Minister for Education Peter St. Jean has pledged his ministry's commitment to address the gaps which exist in the early childhood education system. Peter St. Jean was addressing Monday's Independence Youth Rally. He promised that 100% access would be granted as well as universal education at the early childhood level and at the tertiary level.
Every one of you present today will be guaranteed a seat in the house of higher learning. And every child as yet unborn will be guaranteed a seat in the house of knowledge. And oh, what success! What sweet revenge that would be in the face of the slave trader who plucked us from the African continent, who stored us like sardines on ships, who sold us like cattle on the auctioneer's block, and who worked us like machines in the sugarcane fields.
Meanwhile, the minister reported that the Ministry of Education is back to pre-Erica form.
In spite of the storm, our vision holds and our mission continues: equity and excellence, where Dominica leads in ICT innovation and development. But we will not sit idly by. We will make hay while the sun shines, for there is still much more work to be done. Our goal is not just to build back the education system. Our goal is to build back the education system better than it was before Erica.
The minister thanked students, parents and officials of the Ministry of Education for their support even after the passage of Storm Erica. This year's 37th Independence is celebrated under the theme Rebuilding Dominica Together. Dr. Carissa Etienne will receive Dominica's highest award, the Dominica Award for Honors on Independence Day, as part of the Meritorious Service Honors.
Dr. Etienne is a former director of the country's primary healthcare system. She is now the Director General of the Pan American Health Organization. Etienne is among 14 awardees who will be recognized for their outstanding contribution to public life at the Parade of Uniformed Groups on Wednesday. Another prominent Dominican down to receive an award is Senior Consul Anthony Astafan. Astafan will receive the second highest award, the Cicero Award of Honor. Others to receive Meritorious Service Awards are businessman and chairman of Mon2ndNovNews2k15 Board Francis Emmanuel, Andrea Sandy Burkhardt in the field of physical education and sports, Akel Hannah Raful for business and tourism, Clifford Parilo in the area of education, Zetma Toussaint in the field of health management, Josette Maria John Baptiste, early childhood education, Benoit Badwill for sea and airport development, McCarthy Marie, the music industry, and Wilson Brumont, agriculture. 3 Services Medal of Honor will also be presented. The Parade of Uniformed Groups will take place at 8 a.m. at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium.
The Honorable Minister for Justice, Immigration and National Security has told the Dominican diaspora that their expertise will be needed to rebuild Dominica following Tropical Storm Erica.
Speaking in his capacity as acting Prime Minister at a meeting with the returning Dominicans on Friday, Mr. Blackmore said it would require much more than money to rebuild the country. Erica devastated the country to the tune of 1.3 billion EC dollars, and Mr. Blackmore took the opportunity to urge those based overseas with the necessary technical expertise to come forward. He said Friday's meeting would have focused instead on updating the diaspora on government's reform agenda and policies for the country's prosperity, but the devastation of August 27 had changed all that.
I would be struck that the theme that we have selected for our 47th anniversary of independence, Rebuilding Dominica Together, speaks speaks to the challenge we face and the work that is expected of all of us. Our intention is not just to rebuild, but to build a better and more prosperous Dominica for all. You may have heard that the damage and losses inflicted by this monster storm amounts to approximately $1.3 billion, Eastern Caribbean currency. Over that period of rebuilding, we'll have to mobilize not just the quantum of financing, but also the technical and human resources that are not available in this beautiful country, Dominica. I therefore want to submit to you, as a diaspora community, that those of you who possess the engineering, project management, and quantity surveying skills that are required, give serious consideration to providing your expertise at the earliest.
Mr. Blackmore also thanked the Dominican diaspora for their timely intervention following Tropical Storm Erica. He also reported steady progress towards resettling the displaced people of Petite Savanne and Dubique.
Most of the villagers who had been in shelters are now housed in guest houses, all paid by the government of Dominica. With the generous assistance of the President of Venezuela, 300 Petrocasa houses have been donated to us. 50 of those houses have already landed in Dominica, and I want to inform you that work has already begun on the site in Granby to house, first of all, the people of Dubique.
Another 50 houses will arrive within the next 2 weeks to house the people of Petite Savanne. Returning Dominicans were also told of renewed interest in Dominica as an investment destination and encouraged to participate.
Anton Joseph of Grand Fort was once again crowned winner of the NCCU Calypso show.
Saturday's competition saw 14 participants try to win the title from Anton Whiteferry Joseph. Bernard Jude, that's General Nati, placed third, while Cletus Abraham Halibut came in second place. The other performers were Jude Deloney, JD, Janet Azuz, The Angel, Pierre Labassiere, Dexter Peltier, De Rose, Steve Williams, Triumph, Shirley Charles, Lady S, Alicia Ducre, Delma Daniel, Ramadine Phillip, also known as Calfa P, Chris Sylvester, Chris B, Charles Leatham, Classy, and Roy Anselm. Meantime, in the band segment of the show, the T-Orchestra band based in Maho emerged victorious from a field of 5 bands. The First Serenade band copped first runner-up position, while Ecstasy band got third place. The band segment was introduced last year to increase the playing of Calypso music among Dominican musicians. The winner of the show got $10,000 in cash and $5,000 in prizes, while the winning band received $8,000. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
The 50th anniversary activities of the Cultural Gala will be celebrated with a few changes this year. Project Officer with the Cultural Division, Gregory Rabes, says the passage of Storm Erica and a few other factors have changed the show. Rabes revealed the awardees for the show on Tuesday.
Mr. Edney Francis, who is a veteran accordion player, he will be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award that's issued by the National Cultural Council for people who have really worked and contributed over their entire lives in terms of the arts and culture in Dominica. So that's very important. The E.O. Libna Trophy, which is also issued every year for a cultural group that has excelled, in over the year and the years as well. The sixth form Cicero singers will be receiving the E.O. Libna Trophy this year.
This year's activities will feature a mix of traditional and contemporary performances.
We had started a trend last year as well because we had WCK on. We brought on a band last year. So in a sense, Gala is evolving a bit. So this year, and again in light of Tropical Storm Erica and the need to bring a number of the contemporary artists who have very patriotic songs about Dominica, the Calypsonians and so forth. So we decided to tie that in as well with this Calypsonians, Ophelia, and so on and so on.
Meanwhile, the show will be moved from its traditional location to where the Creole in the Park is normally held. Rabes says organizers are experimenting with ways of making the show more visually appealing to patrons. The cultural gala was created by Dominica's former premier Edward Oliver Leblanc in 1965. This year's cultural gala will be celebrated under the theme of building resilience and hope. You are watching Channel 5 News. More when we return. Welcome back. A Grenada-based civil engineer has called on Dominicans to be more aware of the impact of disasters on businesses.
Nigel John was speaking at the Chuanit luncheon organized by the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce last week. He says disasters are not only classified as natural, that is, weather systems, tsunamis, landslides, earthquakes, and others. Human-induced disasters such as poor planning, fire, and failed communication are among those that have severe effects on commerce.
Cyber and IT threats. We are talking about the information age right now. Yet many of us, in my opinion, and in my experience, don't adequately take care for cyber threats. If the communication system goes down, it can have devastating effect on business. Different types of businesses and different persons will be affected by the same risk, or potentially affected by the same risk or the same event differently.
John, who was in Grenada during the passage of Hurricane Ivan in 2004, says businesses will encounter difficulty in the rebuilding stage post-disasters.
The cash flow challenge killed several businesses that would have otherwise been okay after Ivan. And it has happened in other places. We must form a relationship, and a lot of this will be through the business support organization, a chamber, manufacturers association, coalition of service industries, all those business support organizations. This is one area where you realize they are extremely valuable. It's not just the advocacy on the regular times and lobbying for this and lobbying for that, but as conduits through which discussions can happen with partners.
The Chuanit luncheon focused on sensitizing the business community on the importance of moving forward post-disasters.
As Dominicans wait with bated breath to hear what will be in the Prime Minister's Independence Day address, a local businessman and newspaper columnist is keeping his fingers crossed for the inclusion of one important decision he hopes will be considered. Businessman Pari Bellot of Parabel Enterprises believes 95% of Dominicans would welcome the declaration of a well-financed 3-month cleanup campaign for Roseau. Bellot says this campaign would encompass a substantial budget allocation to the Roseau City Council.
In terms of fining people who are indiscriminately dumping rubbish everywhere. So, that is necessary, even for instance, 3 new garbage trucks exclusively to clean up Roseau, cleaning up maybe on a daily basis as opposed to 1 or twice a week, things like that. And of course, consulting with some of the businesses in Roseau, some of the other stakeholders in Roseau, and their ideas and what is necessary. The whole garbage problem in Dominica, we keep talking about it over and over, but it's time we do something.
One man has been jailed for 2 years for unlawful sexual connection. Marcus Samuel, who pleaded guilty to unlawful sexual connection in January 2015, has received a 2-year jail sentence by High Court Judge Errol Thomas. According to the facts presented by State Attorney Phinelia Felix, the victim was 12 years old at the time of the incident and knew the accused for 7 years. On January 6, 2012, the victim was playing video games at the home of the accused with other friends, including Samuel's sister, when the incident reportedly occurred. In mitigation, his lawyer Glenn Ducre asked the court for a non-custodial sentence since his client was a first-time offender and had pleaded guilty very early. Ducre said he had expressed remorse for his action. He is a good young man and knows what he did was wrong. He is not blaming the society, but he is asking for a second chance for his mistake. Before sentencing, the judge said Samuel used his tricks to get to his objectives. He added there is a prevalence of sex offenses of this age and younger in Dominica against minors, which needs urgent attention.
Community Day of Service is held on 4th November every year and focuses on executing development projects in the community and environs. Usually, the Day of Service sees the community embarking on projects centered on road rehabilitation and infrastructural projects. This year, however, the focus will be placed on cleanup and beautification.
On National Document Service, the state normally provides some monies for implementing activities within communities. While some persons are looking forward for the mixture of cement and other materials to do concrete work, I know we have had that for many, many years, and the Prime Minister introduced beautification and cleanup, and that went well.
Tropical Storm Erica caused severe damage from landslides and flooding. Fontaine, while understanding the desire of Dominicans to build concrete structures for the Day of Service, noted that professional help must be sought to do so.
The amount of money that we normally give for communities for National Document Service cannot build a reasonable, a reinforced wall. And so walls on a whole, generally, I really want to urge the Dominican public to ensure that we have engineers on board, to ensure that we don't create or make the mistake several times. If we're going to put a wall, we should seek technical advice and to do something that might withstand other impacts.
The Independence Creole season, which comes to a close on National Day of Community Service, is being celebrated under the theme, Rebuilding Dominica Together.
For those of you who have not seen the newest addition to the Prime Minister's family, we have some pictures for you. These are the first public images of Prime Minister and Mr. Skerritt's first daughter. The Prime Minister made the announcement of the arrival of his third child last weekend. Mr. Skerritt said he was pleased to have a newborn baby girl. The baby was born last week Thursday night. Your sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
Cricket takes the first knock. Sri Lanka defeated West Indies by 1 wicket using the Duckworth-Lewis method in their first ODI on Sunday. The Windies team batted first to amass 159 for 8 in 26 overs, with Russell contributing 41 runs and Bravo collecting 38. Sri Lanka batted second, giving West Indies 164 for 9 in 24.5 overs to take the win. Dalshan contributed 59 runs for Sri Lanka, including 6 fours and 3 sixes, while Narayan claimed 3 wickets for West Indies. Dalshan was declared player of the match, with his team leading the 3-match series 1-0. We move on now to women's cricket. West Indies women won by 11 runs against Pakistan women on Saturday using the Duckworth-Lewis method. Pakistan batted first to gather 95 for 7 in 20 overs, with Abidi and Maroof together scoring 60 runs for their team. West Indies replied with 91.3 in 17.4 overs, with Taylor, the player of the match, racking up 48 not out for her team. Meantime, Windies women won the 1-over eliminator to tie the match using the Duckworth-Lewis method for their third T20 on Sunday. West Indies women batted first to accumulate 88 runs all out in 19.5 overs. Knight scored 49, only to be run out by Amin. Mir took 4 wickets for Pakistan, claiming the most wickets for her team. Pakistan, up next to bat, scored 77 for 7 in 17 overs to lose to the Windies team. West Indies won the 3-match series 3-0. Dottin was crowned player of the series and Mir player of the match. In some more cricket news, the Indian Board President's 11 match against South Africa ended in a draw on Saturday. India scored 296 all out after 78.5 overs in the first innings, with Rahul scoring 72. Stein took 3 wickets for South Africa, with his team replying with 302 all out in 69.2 overs. India amassed 92 runs in 30 overs in their second innings to bring the match to a close. Still in cricket, Pakistan scored 234 for 10 in 85.1 overs in their third test against England. England replied with 4 runs in 2 overs in Sunday's game. Pakistan, still at 234, were all out after 85.1 overs, with England replying 222 for 4 in 92 overs. England trailed by 12 runs with 6 wickets remaining in the first innings. And wrapping up cricket, West Indies Volcanoes leave Dominica on Wednesday ahead of their match against Guyana next week, Friday. Coach of the Dominican-based team says he is optimistic about the team's performance, even though they are playing against opponents on their home ground. The team is expected to play Jamaica on the 13th of November and be back in Dominica for a game against the Leewards on the 20th of November. In some football excitement, Dublin Football Club maintained their winning streak this weekend as Week 5 of the Line DFA Premier League came to a close. Sunday and Saturday's games saw teams vying for the win. We close sports with rounders. NCCU Setco Stars beat ACS South Defenders by default when ACS forfeited on Saturday. We'll give you details of upcoming matches in a future sportscast. That's all the time we have for sports. Join us next time.
Your weather report is next.
Good evening, Dominica, and
we're coming up against Guyana in Guyana from next Friday. I think we have been here for the past 5 or 6 weeks or so. I think generally the preparation has gone well in some aspects, but we were denied, in certain aspects in terms of the match preparation and other challenges and stuff. But I think what basically going to work for us is the mental preparation going into the game, even though we didn't get enough in terms of the facility part of it. But I think that trying to let the guys focus on their role basically going into the first game. I think they're good. They're in good shape because the physio is back here with us now for the past week or so, and he would have reassessed the players from the last test that he did, the fitness test that he did, and he's pretty much satisfied with the level of fitness that would have happened during that time he wasn't there. So that part of it, I'm really satisfied with that. In terms of the bowling and the batting, I think we have seen improvement in the bowling in terms of hitting the areas that we really want to go into the game, and I think that again would have worked for us. The batsmen have been using the nets as professionals, as quality sessions and stuff.
Thursday, looking at the rest of the Caribbean, fair to partly cloudy skies with a few brief scattered showers expected across the northern portion of the region, with an increase in cloudiness, scattered showers and possible isolated thunderstorms expected across the southern portion of the island chain. On international cities forecast, clear skies can be expected in New York, with partly cloudy skies expected in Miami
Football Club
and
maintained their unbeaten
cloudy
run
conditions
at the end
expected
of week
in
5
London,
of the DFA Line Premier League. On Saturday, Caribbean Cool Harlem United registered their second win for the season with a 2-0 victory over Surgical Southeast in the first match of a doubleheader at the Benjamin Park in Portsmouth. Marcel Jermaine in the 66th minute and Jeffrey Charles in the 78th minute scored for Harlem. That's the third straight defeat for Southeast after winning their first two encounters. In the second match of the night, league leaders
That's news, the headlines again. The Minister for Education reasserts government's determination to ensure that education is no longer a luxury, but the right of all Dominicans. Dr. Carissa Etienne and Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan among several Dominicans to be honored this Independence Day. And the call to Dominicans in the diaspora with technical expertise to enlist their talents in the island's post-Arab rebuilding efforts. Email us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube page. On behalf of the production team, I am Miriam Carter. Thank you for watching and happy Independence.
With Randolph Felty scoring 1, taking his tally of goals to 9. Dylan Carlisle scored twice for Exodus, with Lex Mility getting 1. In the second match, Northern Concrete and Steel Bombers got their first points for the season as they played to a 2-2 draw with Steinman Middleham United. Jimmy Parillo and Teddy Rivera scored for Bombers, with Simon John Baptiste and Kirtley Augustine scoring for Middleham United.